What's up guys, Meredith with ExtremeTerrain.com, and today we're checking out the Mammoth 2.5-inch front leveling kit with shocks fitting all 2020 and newer JT Gladiator. The factory rake is super noticeable on the Gladiator, and if you would prefer a more level stance, whether it's to clear obstacles a little bit better, to fit a bigger tire, or just get a stronger appearance from your Gladiator, this kit will be a solution to all of those problems without breaking the bank. This will also be for the JT owner who wants a bit more to a leveling kit than a spacer for some better ride quality compared to their factory suspension, whether it's for on or off-road driving. The biggest feature here of this is really the increase in height for the front end compared to the back, which will make the truck much more defined in the appearance and offer up a lot of opportunity for some better capability. Now, first being better ground clearance, allowing you to scale obstacles a little bit better in lighter off-road scenarios, and to fit larger tires up to 33 inches to be exact if you want the best performance. Now, 35 will fit, but you may have some rubbing when you're articulating or flexing, so I would recommend sticking with a 33 for no modification. Now, along with the increase in height, the kit will also benefit you with new shocks that are the correct length, so your travel is not limited. A tighter and more responsive feel with these shocks is going to help with body roll, and you also are getting a longer lifespan thanks to the monotube gas-charged construction. Now, that's going to resist shock fade over time, allowing you to enjoy the ride even with all of the abuse that these are going to see. The two major components here are the springs and the shocks. The springs being made of a powder-coated steel material, taller than the factory ones for the lift, while maintaining the comfort that you would expect out of factory spring. Now, the shocks are going to offer that increase in dampening performance. Those are going to be a little bit more complex with a powder-coated steel body, a hard chrome OE style piston rod here, and a gas-charged design, all being durable, resisting rust, impact damage, and any tough abuse, again, that they may see if you're taking your JT off-road. Now, the rest of the kit will include what you'll need for the accommodation in height, which is going to be new front end lengths here. These are made also of a steel material, powder-coated to match the rest of the kit and resist any rusting. These are going to have a high-density polyurethane bushing, which is much longer lasting than the rubber ones, and it's going to help feel a little bit more controlled when it comes to your sway bar. You're also going to get a thick plastic bump stop extension to prevent any tire contact with the fender, limiting the travel to keep solid performance. Now, this kit will be about $400, which will be more than the average spacer lift, but much more affordable compared to other more inclusive lift kits. Now, the extra couple of dollars compared to spacers will be a big step up in giving you some better handling and capability in addition to the 2.5 inches, but it's not going to be super involved or too high in height if you want to keep it mild in both lift size and the parts that you want to replace on your JT. Now, it will have the necessities being a solid entry-level type of lift kit and a more advanced leveling kit, so you can kind of get the balance and the best of both worlds of solid performance at a solid price point. Now, install is going to be a 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, and with the right tools and setup, it should take about 3 hours to get the job done. Now, suspension is always an undertaking, so I do recommend taking your Jeep to a trusted shop, and after the install, you will need to make sure that you get your Jeep in alignment to make sure that just everything is back in check. However, at this point, we can head over to our shop and show you a detailed breakdown on how we install this step by step on our Gladiator, so you can check out the install whether you are tackling this job or you're just curious. So that is going to wrap it up for my review. Let's go ahead and get into the install.
The tools you'll need for this project are an impact gun, a 3/8 drive ratchet, a 15, an 18, and a 21 millimeter swivel socket, or a swivel joint and a 21 millimeter socket, a 6 millimeter, a 7/32 Allen wrench, a 14, an 18, and a 21 millimeter wrench, a pair of needle nose pliers, a pair of side cutters, a ratchet strap, and some zip ties. Hi everyone, today we're installing a leveling kit on our Gladiator, so let's get started by watching a short video on how to uninstall the stock suspension.
So now moving on to the front, the first thing we're going to do is remove our shock. we're gonna use an 18mm socket and an 18mm wrench. So now we can take our 18mm swivel socket and our 18mm wrench and remove this bolt. To make the bolt come out easier, we could raise up our pull jack so it levels the bolt out with the mount. Now we can move it up to the top. So now moving to the top, we're gonna remove this bolt with our 18mm swivel socket. So we can push our wheel well out of the way. We can remove our bolt. Hold your shock. And now your shock is removed. Now we can take a 15mm swivel socket and remove our brake line bracket. Set that off to the side, and we can thread our nut back on. So now we're gonna remove our sway bar end link. We're gonna take our 18mm wrench and our 18mm swivel socket and remove these two. So now for our top nut, it's gonna be the same process as the rear. We're gonna take our 18mm ratcheting wrench, slide that onto our nut, then our 6mm Allen key. We can insert that into the stud. Now we can remove our nut. Now we can remove our tools. We can remove this using our hand. Now you can repeat that process on the other side. Now that your shocks and sway bar end links are removed on both sides, we're gonna remove our track bar. So we can take a 21mm swivel socket and a 13/16 or a 21mm wrench to remove this first bolt. Now we can take our 21mm swivel socket and remove this bolt. Make sure that you hold your track bar because it will fall. Now your track bar is removed. Next, we're going to remove our four-wheel drive actuator. So we can pull out on this white tab and press down. Now we can remove. Now we'll remove our breather tube. We can take our needle nose pliers, press down on our clamp. We can work our breather tube off. Now we can remove our coils. So now we're going to evenly lower our pull jacks so we can remove our coils. Then we're going to come under and slowly lower down our axle. Now we can remove our coil. We can bring down our rubber grommet too. Now you can repeat that process on the other side.
All right, now we're ready to install our spring. And along with our spring, we have a bump stop extender as well. Now, if you put this on first, you're gonna find it very difficult to get the spring over the top of this isolator, over this extender, because it sits right there. So you're gonna have an extra length that you're going to have to install this. So what I like to do is just put the bump stop extender inside the coil spring and then use a zip tie to zip tie the bump stop extension to the coil spring. So you can just let that hang in there like so, and then you can just have to deal with putting the spring in over the standard perch. Now you just want to make sure that the beveled side of the extender is towards the top of the spring, and the top of the spring is going to be this narrower coil at the very top. You'll see that it's very thin here as far as where it's centered, as opposed to the bottom, which is all the way around. So with that said, we can go ahead and install our spring, making sure that our lower spring coil here lines up with the stop on the isolator. Now you also want to make sure that the stock isolator for the bottom and the top of the spring are still in place. If not, you'll need to put them back in. So let's go ahead and put our spring in now. Line up the end of our coil spring with the stop on the isolator. Go ahead and raise our jack so that the coil is got some tension on it. And once we have that, we can go ahead and cut our zip tie. And now using our beveled bolt and our nylock lock nut, we can go ahead and get this installed. So we'll slip this through. All right, now we'll put our bolt through the top of our bump stop extender. Make sure that it goes through the pre-drilled hole. And then we can put the nut on the bottom. Now on the driver's side, this is relatively easy. So now we'll put our nut up underneath our extender here. Start our bolt into the nut. Now, if you use the socket to start this, eventually you are going to run out of space in the socket. So you're going to have to switch to your 14mm wrench. All right, now we're ready to install our front shock. And you'll notice the difference between the front and the rear shock. The front shock has this long shoulder on the top of it here. So we'll go ahead and put this back up into place. And then using the original bolt, go ahead and secure it to the vehicle. And we'll tighten it down with our 18mm socket. Now, as you can see, there's quite a difference between the bottom of the shock and the shock mount here. So now we can go ahead and raise our differential back up into place, get our holes lined up for our shock, and get those reattached at the bottom. Now, once you've got your holes lined up, go ahead and insert your bolt, attach your nut, and tighten them down with your 18mm wrench and your 18mm socket. And now you can go ahead and repeat that whole process for the other side. Now, using the supplied nuts, a flat washer, and a bolt, we can go ahead and attach our new sway bar end link. And then tighten them down with our 18mm socket and our 18mm wrench. And you can repeat that for the other side as well. All right, now we're ready to reinstall our track bar. So we'll put this up into place up on the frame, insert our bolt, and put our nut on loosely for now. Now we can go to the other end. All right, now as you can see, our holes don't exactly line up now because it shifted once we disconnected this and we installed the new springs. So we're gonna have to shift our differential over to the driver's side in order to be able to line up these holes. And one of the ways that you can do that is by using a heavy-duty ratchet strap, attach it to the frame, attach it to the axle, and then ratchet it until the holes line up. So that's what we're going to do here. All right, so there's a hole on the outside of the frame on the driver's side, right behind the coil spring. So we're going to hook one end of our ratchet strap into that hole. And the other end, we're going to wrap around the support gusset right here and attach it there. Now we can go ahead and just start ratcheting this in slowly. So that we can shift the axle over and get those holes lined up. Check our alignment. Our holes are lined up, so we can go ahead and insert our bolt. Insert our nut. Now we can go ahead and tighten them down with our 21mm socket and our 21mm wrench. All right, now we can go ahead and reattach our vent hose here. So we'll squeeze the clamp with our needle nose pliers. Open it up. Get that attached. Now we'll go ahead and plug in our four-wheel drive monitor. Make sure you push in on the locking tab. Now we can reattach our brake line bracket and tighten that down with our 15mm socket. And now you can go ahead and attach the brake line bracket for the other side, and your front installation is complete. Now for the rear, we're going to remove the shock, doing this lower mount first using our 21mm socket and our 21mm wrench. And you might want to support the rear end and raise it up a little bit to take some of the tension off the suspension. And that'll get your lower bolt out. All right, now we'll do the same thing for the upper. Make sure you hold your shock so it doesn't fall. And it's out. Now we're going to install our new shock by reversing the procedure for uninstall. Put the upper into place. Go ahead and use our 21mm socket to help get it in. Attach our nut. All right, now we can install our lower shock mount bolt. And tighten it up with our 21mm socket and our 21mm wrench. Now we'll tighten up our upper bolt as well. and you can repeat that process for the other side.
So that is going to wrap it up for my review and the install of the Mammoth 2.5-inch front leveling kit with shocks fitting all 2020 and newer JT Gladiators. And you can find this kit right here at extremeterrain.com.